Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be listening to a couple of tracks from Tempest Rising. I am enjoying the hell out of the soundtrack in this game. There's about 4 or 5 different composers, so unfortunately, I can only, without making this video super long, I decided to pick 2 tracks, 2 quite different ones that I really like from the game. There's a load more, but I just figured we'll go for the 2 of the ones that I really like, and sort of compare the 2 and listen to them and give my sort of thoughts on it. The 2 tracks we're going to be listening today is one is called Aegis, and that is by Markie, and the other track is called Life Harvester, which is by Sigurd Jøhnk-Jensen. I think because he's got a Scandinavian name, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I believe we'll go with Sigurd because I believe that's pronounced correctly. But we're going to start with Aegis, and we're just going to talk about the track and how awesome the soundtrack is, because this game is just classic RTS to the brim. I love it. I very much like a lot of the tracks in this game, how they build, they come to a crescendo of sound, or they build and then they stop and things like that. I love this track. That bada 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 is your main focus of this entire track. Nice beat behind it already. That change is so cool. So we get the standard beat, and then we get the junk, the heaviness, and then that and then we get to go back into the guitar again. So we it's building. It's a shorter build for this track, and then we get the underlying bit. Now we've got the guitar coming there, and that proper heavy sound behind it, that real push. I love how you still got that ba da 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 da, and then the guitar's like jung 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 jung. It just emphasizes that underlying push that the track is moving forward. It's got that marchingness to it. It's got any of the old Command & Conquer soundtracks. It's got that kind of vibe to it. The drums are very heavy in this, very precise. And then it changes, and then suddenly you get that deeper sound with the guitars. That wow changes. Now you've got a harmony playing the higher and lower parts that are playing now. The actual melody is fairly easy to follow. Entire time that ba 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 is the entire driving force of this track, and you have that change, then it goes back to that, and the guitar's still chugging along. And what this does is produce this kind of very steady momentum. When you're playing RTS games, a lot of the time you want something that is not too distracting. StarCraft, Warcraft, all these other RTS games, every sort of game does it differently, but the Command & Conquer style and something like Tempest Rising, they're going for a very much it's almost like that militaristic vibe that they're going for with a lot of these songs. I think it's a breakdown here, and I love that. You then get the change into a more dance beat, that bomb, fall to the floor kind of thing. I mean, this track is 4 minutes long. 1 minute 30 into it, we've already had 3 changes. 3 changes. Getting a change with the arpeggiated synth. like another whole synth behind it. And I think that's also something that's really cool, is this combination of like 80s synths and these kind of like eerie synths that act as like very alien sound versus the very grounded, heavy sound of a military with their jug 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 and all that going on. And we get another change. Diddle 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 diddle. That bada 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 is very like almost operatic in how it sounds and its chord progression and movement. It's very cool. The guitar coming back in, just hitting it. You got two very different things going on there. The bada 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 like that, and then jug 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 jug, and it's that coming together of dynamics essentially, because you have this higher part of this like electronic mixed with that very very low key, and what I mean by low key, like tuned down guitar. I don't know what key it's in, but it is hitting, and they work beautifully here. Drums just like punching through and emphasizing the right parts of the track. That kick drum is getting some words dun 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 dun, like on the same sort of chugs as the guitar. You notice in this entire section you have that sort of other melody being played on a different synth. What I like about this game is that the melodies are fairly easy to follow. That's not to say that they're simple. They might sound simple, but that's not to take away from the musicianship of what they've constructed. And that's something you will notice with this track and the next track, is that the actual melody isn't too complicated in the sense of how it is easy to like hum or whistle or whatever. But the track structure and the like what the atmosphere or emphasis that they're trying to do works so well. That cuts out. For a breakdown, like the drums just keeping that steady rhythm. And that got some very like high guitar part there. I love this break. Let's just go back here a sec. It's the track full on, and then we get just the guitar and the drums for the most part. And it gives that breathing room to the track that it needs. And then the other guitar part comes back in and we start to build again. But we've got that real steady marching. Bum, 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 bum. And that vibe is for this entire track. And then the melody, synth comes back in there. And it's just, and we just end with a very specific sort of sound going on there, that melody, but now it's like bit crunch to hell. This track is really, really good at conveying not only the game's own vibe and feel, but it's what you expect from like when you're playing an RTS, that meat grindery type, army type theme that plays. And this game does a fantastic job of a lot of tracks doing that, where throughout this track, no matter which type of drums is being played or whatever, you got that dun 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 dun, boom boom boom. It's like this just feel that works really well with like a marching army and stuff. But Aegis is a really, like, I love, like I said, most of the music, but I really like the design of this track, combining those synths, combining that very heavy guitar, and it just works beautifully here. So now we're going to switch over to the other track, Life Harvester, and give that a whirl. Alright, so we are now going to give Life Harvester a listen to. This was one of the original tracks in the demo. I think there was like 4 or 5 tracks, and I fell in love with this. This to me is like the equivalent of Act On Instinct from the original Command & Conquer. It's that kind of track, or like Hell March for Red Alert. This, I know that it's not. I think they've got another track called By Our Blood, which is like the theme of the game. But to me, this is like, this sums up the game vibe beautifully. And this particular track is by Sigurd Jøhnk-Jensen. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Sigurd Jøhnk-Jensen. Apologies for butchering the name. Sigurd, fantastic job. Last track was Markie, awesome. But now we've got a different composer. This track starts with a long atmospheric build. Right? You wait for that moment that hits. That beat now, that sort of fall to the floor beat. We're still getting that build. And this is what I love about this track. Dun 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 dun. 48 seconds of just building, and then suddenly that drum beat comes in, and we're about to be witness. I'm going to go back a little bit. We're about to witness why I love this track so much. This melody that is about to play, I have whistled so much and hummed so much. I love it. I think this is awesome. This drums like perfectly like boom boom boom. Just simple to follow melody that just goes do 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 do, but tarted up with this like weird like noise behind that sound behind it. It's just awesome, like genuinely really awesome vibe. All guitar. Do 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 do. What's great? We get the sort of that section. Boom. Back to building, and it's just this steady pace. That drums, nothing fancy about the drums. Right, the guitar's just like and it gets a bit more like the dynamics of this track are just incredible. And what's worth noticing is that when you're playing the game and this is playing in the background, so you have that build, you then have that in your face part which is like and then it breaks down again straight away, like, and it levels out. So the music pops when it needs to and then levels out. So like if you're in the middle of a fight and this is going off, it levels out for you so you can see what you're doing and moving around, and then comes back in when it needs to. Dun. There's so much space in this track, and it lets the track breathe. Like, let's just listen to that bit again. Listen to the drums, like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. Just mainly drums, and then bam, right back into it. Now this time, an extra instrument's going to come in. So now we've got some simps behind this. Wee, wee, wee. Something I really, it's just nothing overstays its welcome in this track. Here's your loops of that particular bit of the theme that you like. Let's kill it off again. Let's calm it down a bit more. And now we calm it down quite a lot. You know, the drums, the sounds. Then we get that bit of calm, bit of chaos. You know, it's just like that kind of like sound going on. Can we just appreciate that section again? Right, chaotic, calm part. Right, now we're building again, right? But we're not going crazy, too crazy. Just wow, just enough chugs with the guitar. Jung, 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 jung. Alright, now we're starting to build, and now we're getting the drums to do a big build with the drums. Sound everywhere. Break. Like that everything drops out apart from the drums there, and that is so cool. Straight back into the main melody. Again, easy melody to follow. Very easy melody to follow. And we've got the simps coming back into it again. And this just ends off now. Just ends off pretty chill. So you get that start like this, and you get the end like this. Just awesome piece of music. And the reason why I like it so much is it does give me that influence, or there is an influence here, of classic Command & Conquer. Especially like sort of Red Alert 3, Act-On Instinct from the original game, Command & Conquer 3 obviously. It's just a beautiful, like, to me this is the theme of this game. I hear Life Harvester, doesn't matter which team I'm playing, and I'm like, this is Tempest Rising. I think the track just does a beautiful job with dynamics. You get the builds, the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows, the chaos, the bigger builds, back into that main melody that is, like I said, very easy to follow. And I think that's what makes it so awesome. Again, there are so many awesome tracks for this game. It's such a well put together soundtrack. It hits many different vibes, there's many different genres, there's a lot of industrial, there's a lot of heavy metal, there's some electronic in there, there's other bits, tracks that aren't quite as heavy and stuff like that, but this soundtrack is just super awesome. We've heard one from Michał, Markie, and then one from Sigurd. I call him Sigurd Jøhnk-Jensen, that's probably not correct, but those two guys are just two of the, it's either 4 or 5 composers, and I know I haven't covered more than just the 2 tracks in this video, but Frank Klepacki's on this soundtrack and he does some awesome stuff. The other guys, I'm blanking on their names, do some awesome stuff. I like pretty much everything that I've heard. I'm really glad that this game has such a varied soundtrack, but also has a particular vibe that you just expect from a game like this. So yeah, if you are looking to listen to more of this, the soundtrack is available on Steam. There's obviously a load of it's been uploaded on YouTube. Please go and listen to it, and please give these composers the respect they deserve. They've done a phenomenal job with this soundtrack. Every single one of them deserves a pat on the back. I love this soundtrack so goddamn much. It's so good. So please go listen to it. You know, and if you do fancy, like, you wanting to like support the game, obviously buy the game. If you want to support them, buy the DLC for the music and just get that album. It's so good. Anyway, it's that's gonna do it for me today. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this based on soundtracks based on games, hit the subscribe button and I will look to do more of that. And until next video, I will see you then.